Good morning, everyone. Good morning, classmate. Good morning, Professor Dr. Arlene Justo. I am Vincent A. Villanueva, and today I am your reporter. So, my report today is Assessment Strategies Align with Various Curriculum Models. So, from the title itself, today we're going to talk about the assessment. Okay, these are the very important as a teacher in our classroom that we need to assess our students. So the overview of this is assessment strategies play a crucial role in reinforcing learning outcomes across various curriculum models. So from the word itself, crucial role. So they are very important. Have this very important role as a teacher to get the learning outcomes of our students. So napakahalaga talaga to get the result of your assessment ay mayroon kang iba't ibang estratehiya. Different models emphasize different approaches to education, and their corresponding assessment and strategies must be aligned to effectively measure student progress and achievement. Gaya ng sinabi ko, sa pagbibigay ng assessments sa estudyante, kailangan nakaangkla ito sa iyong curriculum models. So, bawat model may iba't ibang pamamaraan sa pagbibigay ng approach or stratehiya upang tiyak na masusukat ang galing ng bata. So one of the assessment strategies that we have is today that we're going to discuss is Tyler model. So Tyler model focus on the clear objectives and systematic approach to curriculum design. Assessment strategies within this model include standardized tests, formative assessment, and summative evaluations aligned with predefined learning objectives. Using Tyler's framework, educators often evaluate students' performance by comparing outcomes against established goals, ensuring the assessment reflect intended learning experience. So, first model na nabanggit na natin is a Tyler model is also referred to objective model because of its objectives approach to evaluation. So, nakapokus lang talaga siya sa objectives. So, ano-ano ba ang assessment ng Tyler models? So, ang mga assessment ito ay tulad ng standardized tests. 'Di ba? Pag nagbibigay tayo ng standardized test, nakikita natin kung ano-ano ba ang kahinaan ng bata. At si teacher ay gagawa siya ng paraan para ma-meet ang needs ni bata. Ang pangkalahatang resulta ng standardized test ay magagamit ito upang ang school district ay gagawa sila ng data na makukumpara nila kung mas naging epektibo ba ang kanilang curriculum sa last year nilang ginamit. So another example is formative assessment. So sa formative assessment naman, ito yung um, you are giving a test to a student after they learn. Okay, after they learn during that day. So example, you have quizzes, you have classworks, meron kang homeworks. So assessing for learning, ano-ano ba ang natutunan ni bata after learning. So you can also use T-chart or Venn diagram. Sa T-chart, di ba, maaari mo ilalagay doon yung positive and negative result of what you discussed today. So, ganun siya. Sa Venn diagram naman, merong comparison and contrast. So, while summative assessment, these are assessment of learning occur after they learn what they learn throughout the unit. So this example is summative test is unit tests or long tests. So sa Tyler models, meron itong four stages na dapat natin tuunan ng pansin. Okay? So first is the defining objectives. Ano ba ang defining objectives? The first stage involves identifying the educational objectives or goals that the curriculum is intended to achieve. So kailangan ng objective natin ay SMART. It should be specific, measurable, achievable, or attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Next naman ito ay ang selecting content. The second stage involves identifying the content and learning experiences that will help students to achieve the objectives. The content should be relevant. Kailangan konektado ito sa kanilang class, sa kanilang pinag-aralan. Hindi lang basta-basta saan mo yun kinuha. Kailangan meaningful sa kanila. Talagang they could understand and modify and define it to their self at appropriate for the intended audience. So kung ang estudyante mo ay um, grade 9 or grade 10, kailangan appropriate sa kanila yung content na ibibigay mo. Hindi ka pwedeng mag-above or mag-less or let's say grade 6. So, nagiging left behind sila sa klase. Third is organizing content. Ito naman ay klarong-klaro naman na i-organize mo yung content. The third stage, these are involved organizing the content and learning experiences into a logical sequence. So, pag sinabing natin logical sequence, sunod-sunod, that facilitated learning. This may involve develop a scope and sequence, creating lesson plans, and design assessment. So, di ba pag gumagawa tayo ng lesson plan, kailangan naka step by step talaga siya. Meron kang objectives, meron kang title, may materials ka, may methodology ka, and your activity that day that you're going to input, and your quiz or your assessment. So evaluating outcomes, these are the final stage involves evaluating the effectiveness of the curriculum in achieving its objectives. So yung nagawa mo, ito yung parang naging epektibo ba ang curriculum na in-achieve mo that time? In-achieve mo yung objectives, epektibo ba? This may be involve assessing student learning, evaluating the effectiveness of teaching strategies. So, epektibo ba ang iyong pagtuturo? Epektibo ba ang iyong strategiya? Marami bang ang mga bata ba ay 70% or above ay natutunan nila or na-hit nila ang iyong objectives, and materials used ay napakahalaga din dahil ito yung magiging foundation nila in making starting building a project-based learning and making a necessary revision to the curriculum. So next nating model is TABA model. So TABA model is emphasize the importance of teacher involvement and student needs in the curriculum development process. Assessment strategies here are more flexible, include project-based learning, reflective journals. Teachers assess student learning through observational methods. So si teacher, nakikita niya through observational methods. So ito yung parang group activity kung saan si teacher ay nag-o-observe lang siya kung ang bata ba ay they are learn from this. So group work that aligns with student interests and evolving needs, thus fostering greater engagement and critical thinking skills. The model encouraged open-ended questions. So, si bata ay magtatanong kay teacher, um, kailangan kailangan meron itong higher order thinking skills rather than memorization na. So, dapat meron silang ma-develop nila itong HATS question. So, it starts with identifying students' interests and needs rather than predefined objectives. So, kailangan talaga is ma-identify ni teacher sa tabang model ano yung pangangailangan ng estudyante niya rather than yung objectives. So gives teacher a greater role, not just making implementers, but also developers. So si teacher dito ay hindi lang siya nag um, nagpa-facilitate sa klase, but also he tried to develop the curriculum more dahil nga based nga ito sa needs ni bata. So, ganun si teacher, the developer din siya kung ano yung mga dapat niyang kailangan pang ilalagay o gagawin pa dito para lang mas lalo naging epektibo. So, dahil aware si teacher na need ito, let's say aware si teacher na itong specific na bata, itong si bata ay meron siyang ganitong skills or needs na dapat i-approach siya. Si teacher ang gagawa ng paraan na dapat magma-match sa needs ng bata. So, meron itong tabang model, meron ito siyang 7 steps. So, first is diagnosis of learner's needs. Okay, so kaya nang sinagayang sinabi ko ng first, learner's needs. Napakahalaga talaga. So this first step involved assessing the needs, interests, and capabilities of student kasi nowadays talagang nakikita mo talaga ngayon sa paaralan na ang mga estudyante ay kailangan talaga maibigay ang kanilang pangangailangan dahil nga they are these sabi nga pandemic na students, they are these 21st century student. Meron iba rin talaga ang kanilang approach compare sa mga naunang generation. So teacher collect data through surveys, interviews, and discussions to understand what the students require from the curriculum. So, napakahalaga talaga na malaman natin yung kanilang pangangailangan. Formulation of objectives based on the needs of assessment educator then articulate specific measurable learning objectives aimed in addressing those needs. So, kailangan after you collect this data, kailangan talaga is ma-formulate mo yung objective. So, kailangan it should be smart, specific, measurable, and attainable to address the needs of the students. So, these objectives should be clarify what students should know and be able to do by the end of the instruction period. So, in the beginning of the class, kailangan talaga is you have to let your student know what's your objective to them so they can understand kung ano ba yung target mo on that day. Third one is selection of content. We discussed this already. After defining objective, teachers select appropriate contents that align with establishing goals. The content must be relevant, meaningful, and significant to the students' lives. So, sabi nga, mas naging meaningful kasi ang pagtuturo kung ang bata ay mas nakaka-relate sila sa iyong discussion. Like you can give examples about your experiences or other experiences. These examples could initiate the mind of the students that they are related, they can relate it. So meaningful yun sa kanila. And thus engagement and learning outcomes. Nakaka-enhance siya, mas nakakapagbigay siya ng buhay sa iyong klase. Organization of content, these are organizing the selection content involving structuring it logically and sequentially. This ensures that the materials flow in a coherent manner, facilitating better understanding and retention by students. So, kailangan talaga is organize mo yung content mo dahil mas napapadali ang pagkakaintindi ng bata kung organized siya or coherent siya, hindi siya magulo. So, selection of learning experiences. In this step, educators choose appropriate instructional methods and strategies that will effectively engage students in learning. This could include hands-on activities, discussions, collaborative project, promoting active and interactive learning environment. Gaya na sa aking klase ay meron kaming parang meron kaming hands-on activities tulad ng meron kaming lab na ginagawa in our class. So, itong klaseng activity nito na hands-on or lab activity, laboratory activity, these are good collaborative approach wherein this they could share their ideas, they could give and take ideas, and sabi nga nila, two heads are better than one. So these are interactive learning na kung saan ang mga estudyante they are more engaged in their learning. Organization of learning activities. Teacher then organize the learning activities in a way that respects sequence of content and developmental characteristic of learner. So nakakapag-develop din siya sa characteristic ng learners pag ang you organize your lessons. These are the things that they could see, the steps that they ensure to build upon each and progressively leading to mastery of the matter subject matter. So they can understand more if your lesson is organized. Evaluation of outcomes. The final steps involves assessing the effectiveness of the curriculum and the degree to which learning objectives has been achieved. This evaluation can take various forms, including formative assessment, summative assessment, feedback mechanism to inform future instruction. So, meron din siyang strength. These are the strength of TABA model. So, pag sinabing strength, ito yung magandang impact sa estudyante. So, teacher involvement. So, by emphasizing teacher input and assessment of student needs, the model foster collaborative environment for curriculum development. So, pag sinabi natin collaborative environment, ito yung parang ang mga bata ay they work together. So, maganda nga talaga siya. They work together, they engage together, mas achievable ang learning. Focus on student-centered learning. This model ensures the curricula are tailored to address the specific requirements of students, thereby enhancing engagement and learning. Flexibility and adaptability. So TABA models also allows for modification based on evaluation and feedback, enabling educators to refine their approaches continuously. So pag sinabi natin flexible adaptability, teachers they have this time to redefine their their objectives, so they can give more or input more the ideas for better learning approaches. As kung meron siyang advantages, limited lang talaga siya, limitation of TABA model despite of its advantages. So first is a time intensive process. So the thorough nature of a model can be time consuming. So it takes time talaga siya when you do this. You have to balance your time. Kaya may tinatawag na time management, potentially delaying the implementation of a new curricula, resource-intensive, comprehensive need assessment, and ongoing evaluation requires considerable resources which may not always be available. So, hindi lahat naman ng resources is available, di ba? That's why you have to be also creative in making this type of assessment. Dahil there are limited not there are certain time in your life. I mean, there are certain scenario in the classroom where you cannot have this all resources, especially those in far flung areas like in the provinces. Limited talaga ang mga resources. They have this lack of materials na na hindi na kailangan gagamitin para sa curriculum, but they don't have this because of the limited budget by the government. Dependency on teacher expertise. So, depende rin siya sa background ni teacher. Sometimes teacher, they just put anywhere dahil yun ang required na slot. But that it really has to be factors kung ang background ni teacher ay related sa kanyang tinuturo. So the model relies heavily on professional skills of teacher which can vary significant sa mga educators. So kailangan talaga is um, talagang experience talaga ni expertise ni teacher ang kanyang tinuturo, compare lang kung nilagay lang siya kahit saan-saan dahil nga yun yung available na slot. So ganun usually the problem in our country. Okay, next model is backward design model. It focuses on lesson planning. So from what teacher will teach to what students should learn. So dito sa backward model, gumagawa lang tayo ng lesson plan dito. By concentrating the end goals, teacher can create a more coherent and purpose-driven curriculum that enhances student understanding and achievement. The model encourages teachers to think critically about assessment and instructional method from the outset, ensuring alignment with learning objectives. There are three stages of the backward design model. So the first stages is identify desired result. In define learning goals, educators begin to determine what students should know. So, kaya nga 'di ba, before we had our class, before we start the year, meron tayong diagnostic test to determine our student what they know, what they should know, or what they don't know, what they don't understand and understand, be able to do by the end of the lesson, unit, or course. These goals should align with academic standards. So, we have these academic standards na kailangan nakaangkla ito sa ating goals, incorporate essential knowledge that promotes deeper understanding. Focus on the big ideas and concepts the students should retain long after the course, and this includes identifying key themes, skills, and knowledge vital for mastering subject matter. The next is determine acceptable evidence. Assessment planning. In this stage, teacher determine how they will measure the students' learning. This involves selecting appropriate assessment that provides evidence of whether students have achieved the desired outcomes. Assessment can be formative or summative. Designing assessment criteria clearly define what constitutes successful performance and the criteria for evaluating students' work. So this may involve rubrics, scoring guides, and exemplars to clarify expectation for students. So mahalaga talaga in designing assessment criteria, meron kang rubrics na kung saan your student will be guided, your scoring guides, they will be guided so that they can hit the target goals of your want to assess their capabilities or skills. Plan learning experiences and instruction with the outcomes and assessment. Establish teacher design instructional activities that will help students attain the learning goals. This may include direct instruction, collaborative projects, hands-on activities, differentiated learning experiences to meet the diverse learners' need. Okay, so you have this collaborative project, you have these hands-on activities, you have this differentiated learning dahil nga iba-iba rin talaga ang mga estudyante mo to meet their needs. Some of them are fast learners, some of them are slow learners, some of them are yung average lang sila. So, kailangan talaga is ma-hit mo yung isa-isa doon. Alignment and sequencing, ensure the chosen learning activities are aligned with desired results and assessment methods. organize activities sequentially to build knowledge and skills progressively, allowing students to connect concept logically. So, meron siyang benefits. Pag sinabi natin benefits, is magandang epekto. Ano yung makukuha ng estudyante o teacher at the same time sa backward design model. So, the clarity first is clarity in learning objectives. So, pag sinabi natin clarity is clear talaga siya, talagang nakikita, hindi siya blur. By starting with the end goals, teachers provide a clear roadmap for teaching and assessment, ensuring that all activities are purposely aligned with desired outcome. Dahil clear talaga siya, nakalinya talaga yung desired outcomes mo, your goals. So, enhance students' engagement, focus on real-world application, and endure understanding, foster a deeper connection between students and subject matter, leading to increased motivation and engagement. So, mas napapa-enhance yung engagement sa yung estudyante, improve assessment practices, this emphasis on assessment from beginning, encourage teachers to design meaningful assessment that truly measures students' understanding rather than simply checking all factual recall. So, mas meaningful yung assessment mo dahil na-improve mo na siya, and these are you gonna measure na your students understanding rather than what they you check their factual recall. Developmental of transferable skills. So by concentrating on big ideas, critical skills, backward design promotes the application of knowledge in various contexts, preparing students for future learning challenge. So, developmental transferable skills, ito yung parang nire-ready mo yung mga estudyante mo for future learning challenge. So, maganda kung meron kang mga activities na these are advanced to develop their critical skills so that when they have already in the real world scenario they could apply what they have learned from your class. The next goal model is learner-centered model. The learner-centered model is places students needs, interests, and experiences at the forefront of learning process. Assessment strategies in this model often include a self-assessment and portfolios that allows students to showcase their individual learning journeys. These assessments are designed to encourage reflection and self-directed learning, aligning closely with personal educational goals and outcomes. The emphasis is on allowing students to engage meaningful with the content, which enhances motivation and understanding. The learner-centered model is an educational approach that prioritizes the needs, interests, and experiences of students in learning process. So, nakafocus talaga siya sa needs, interest ng estudyante, at yung experience niya in learning process. So, focus from traditional teacher-centered instruction to a more collaborative, engaging, and personalized learning environment. So here below are the key features of the learner-centered model. First feature is the active engagement. So students actively participate in their learning process through discussions, group work, problem solving, hands-on activities. This engagement fosters deeper understanding and retention of knowledge. So you give these group activities like you divide the class into four, into five. Then you get this puzzle activity that they could work together. They need to find the solution for this problem. So mas epektibo ito, and it creates foster deeper understanding and retention of knowledge of the students. Collaboration is the next steps. The model encourages collaboration among students, allowing them to learning from one another. Through cooperative learning experience, students share their perspective and experiences, enriching learning experiences. So some students, they have this huge or brilliant ideas that they could share to their classmate, which enhances learning experiences. And Third one is personalization. Learning experiences are tailored to meet individual student needs, interests, and learning styles. So teacher provide option choices for students. So dito sa personalization, the learning experience here is you need to tailor to meet your student what they needs, what their interest. Example, they have this interest in sport, so you can engage your lesson into sport. Magbibigay ka ng mga pictures or situation or their learning style so that the students they have this interest to listen, to pay attention to your class. So teacher provide option or choices for students, allowing them to pursue topic relevant to their curiosity and goals. So you after you get the information, you're gonna ask your students what they want. Example, you give them project, investigative project, or activity, or problem solving. They're gonna find out what they want so that they could engage with your class. Facilitated learning. Instructors serve as a facilitator or guides rather than traditional lecturers. So here, you're not just teaching, you also facilitate or guides your students. These create environmental that promote inquiry and exploration. So they become more curious. They could ask questions. They would explore more, and encourage your students to engage in material activity. Reflection and metacognition. The learner-centered model emphasizes the importance of self-reflection and metacognition. Students are encouraged to think about their learning processes, set goals, and assess their understanding, fostering lifelong learning skills. So the students are encouraged to think about their learning processes, set goals, and assess their understanding. So I have here also the principle of learner-centered model. We have respect for diversity. Knowledge the students come with varying backgrounds, experiences, and learning preferences. So the students should respect diversity from different background, from different experiences, from different ways. They should see the colors of different. So the instruction designed to be inclusive, accommodating diverse needs. So kailangan talaga as a teacher, so teacher kailangan he or she knows how to approach this different this varied diversity of your students. Some of your students is nanggaling sa mahirap na pamilya or walang kakayahan. Meron naman is may kaya. So aside from that, yung race din or yung color ng bata, ganun talaga, napakahalaga, very crucial part to do the teacher this one. And then this real world connections is emphasizes the relevance of learning to real world situation. So kailangan yung project, yung assignment mo is naka related siya sa real world situation. Authentic talaga siya so that the students can apply their knowledge in a practical ways. Hindi siya they can more they can more apply in a real world. Mas maganda yun siya so that they have this develop this real world skills. Constructivist approach and continuous assessment. So constructivist, these are construct knowledge is constructed through interaction with the environment and collaboration with peers. So they got this knowledge from interacting with their classmate and the environment. Like you have this in you do the activity outside, like they're gonna observe the the plants or a certain ecosystem. Students build upon this prior knowledge and experiences promoting meaningful learning. So they're gonna develop meaningful learning. Continuous assessment is seen as an ongoing process rather than on one-time event. So these examples like quizzes, discussions, project works, The benefits of learning center model increase engagement is actively participation leads to higher level of engagement and motivation among students which can enhance overall learning outcome. They become more active participating in your class, improve retention and understanding, personalization and active learning strategies contribute to deeper understanding, enabling students to retain information more effectively, develop their critical thinking skills, empowerment of students by allowing choice and encouraging ownership of their learning. Students feel empowered, leading to greater responsibility toward their education. Oh, the last one is a problem-centered curriculum model involves designing assessment that focus on a real-world challenge. So, tulad sa this could be applied sa mga um, like courses like real-world challenges like um, yung plumbing or yung what do you call this? Yung carpentry, like makeup thing, and also this one like na-apply nila sa real-world challenges, encourage students to engage authentic learning experience. Assessment strategies in this model include project, case studies, and simulation. So this assessment not only evaluates student understanding but also promote development of problem solving and critical thinking skills. Aligning directly with the model focus on inquiry-based learning, the assessment are crafted to reflect complexities of real-life situations, thereby enhancing relevance and application of knowledge. So sa problem-centered model focus on real-world challenges, engaging students in active learning. This model develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills throughout authentic experiences real life situation. So for example here, student create business plan to solve society needs or develop a device that would help check the amount of steroids from the milk or meat. So they're gonna develop a device that would help to check the amount of steroid in milk. So ito yung um, problem center. They're gonna think the problem, how they're gonna find the solution, like case study, um, projects, and simulation. So sa simulation, I remember I have this simulation to my students where they gonna sim they're gonna check what are the effect when the asteroid hits certain places, how many number of casualties will have, how many number of people will be affected, their clothes, their belongings, and the impact of the place and the impact of the that day. So they have also these speeds, fireballs. So napakaganda. So challenges of the problem-centered curriculum model, resource intensity, and balance structure and flexibility. Sa resource intensity, implementing a problem-centered curriculum can require significant resources, including time, materials, and access to information. Teacher must be prepared to invest in planning and execute these learning experiences. Balancing structure and flexibility, teacher must strike a balance between providing enough structure to guide students and allowing the flexibility needed for exploration. This requires careful planning and adaptability for instruction. Assessment difficulties. Traditional assessment method may not accurately reflect students' understanding and skill developed through problem-centered learning. Educators need to design assessment that align with the objectives of the model, measure students' problem-solving abilities, and classroom management. With increased students' autonomy and collaboration, classroom management can become more complex, so teachers must develop strategies to manage group dynamics and ensure that all students are engaged and accountable. So Very important talaga ang classroom management as a teacher because these are your like your basis. Your students, you should have this first before everything else because without classroom management, there will be no learning. Implementing a problem-centered curriculum model, identify relevance problem, start by identifying problems that are meaningful to students and relevant to their lives. Communities involving students in selecting this problem can enhance their investment in the learning process. Design inquiry-based activity, create activities that encourage students to explore the problem, gather information, and develop potential solution. Utilize interviews, case studies, or field work to provide authentic learning experiences. Facilitate collaboration, foster collaborative classroom environment where students can work together in groups. This promotes the sharing ideas, diverse perspective, enhancing learning experiences. Integrate assessment, develop assessment strategies that evaluate students' problems solving processes and outcomes. Use formative assessments such as peers reviews, presentation, and reflection to gauge process continuously. Reflect on learning, encourage students to reflect of their learning and skills that they have developed through the process. This reflection can be documented in journals, shared in class or discussion. So, so quiz time, true or false. Assessment strategies in a problem-centered curriculum model focus primarily on standardized tests rather than real-world application. The answer is false. Number two, the backward design model emphasized the creation of assessment before planning instruction to ensure alignment with desired learning outcomes. True. In a learner-centered model, assessments are primarily teacher-directed and do not involve student input or collaboration. False. The TABA model of the curriculum development includes formative assessment as part of its seven-step process to gauge students' understanding and progress. True. Last number, authentic assessment are a key aspect of both problem-centered and project-based learning curriculum model as they require students to demonstrate their knowledge and skills through real-world tests. False. Okay, who got correct? Five correct answers. Very good. So before I gonna end my discussion today, let me leave you one of my favorite quotes or proverbs. I got this from Google. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet, from Aristotle. So sometimes you have to go through difficult times in in education. You have to go through difficult times. You're gonna encounter a lot of difficulties, but in the end of it, you're gonna see your fruit of labor. You're gonna see a good outcomes or results, and that's the fruit. But the fruit is sweet. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Husto. Thank you so much, classmate, for listening for my discussions today for my report. And I'm gonna end now my report. Hopefully, you understand all my um, explanation. Hopefully, you understand. I try my best to explain it as far as I can. And hope we're gonna learn from this and we can apply this to our classes. And I'm hoping that we're gonna be consistent in our goals, in our objectives, because our students' future lies in us. Like we teachers play very important role in in molding or shaping the desired or the the dreams of our students. So we have to be careful in playing this task because we are playing the important role. Okay, so bye classmates, see you next time.